Hi. So let's continue our discussion on variables. So, what exactly is happening when you say this a is equal to 10? What exactly is happening in this case? So, we will look at that. Before we get to that, let's just look at a small interesting thing that is very different in Python compared to C++ or Java. So one thing that I have done here is I had written this command 12 candelas is equal to 20 and we realized that was not a valid syntax. It's saying invalid syntax. So what you can do is you can put a hash in front of it and that comments out this code. That means that this code is not going to get executed. This is just getting commented. This code is not going to run. It's basically like if I want to add some notes in between my code, I'm writing my code in between. I want to write something in English, which does not really make sense in Python. So I want my Python interpreter to ignore that. So if I just want some Python to ignore it, I can just put a hash in front of it, which tells Python, hey, don't worry about it. It's just for me. It's not for you. So that's a Python comment. Perfect. So now if I run it, it runs fine because the last line is not important anymore. Python is not going to look at it. So that's why it's not saying it's a syntax error as well. Perfect. Let me add a cell below. And now let's look at assigning different types. What does this mean? So I'm just going to give you an example of how things work in, let's say Java. So in Java, if I want to make a storage A and I want to store data in it, then Java requires me to tell upfront what kind of data I want to store in it. So if I want to store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is integers, then I will have to say int a. That basically means that I'm telling Java upfront that, hey, I need a storage in which I'm going to store integers upfront. That's not the case with Python. When we created a upfront, that's not the case with Python. When we created a, we did not say what kind of data we are going to store in. So we did not say that. So I can change the value to something else later on. That's not very interesting. That's fine. You can change the value. But the weird and interesting part is that you can completely change what kind of data is getting stored here. This is fine as well. So I am able to do that as well. So now if you try and see what is inside a, it's actually the string. It's not the integer value anymore. So why does Java require you to mention upfront and it is not a necessity in case of Python? This seems amazing, right? I don't have to worry about what kind of data I'm putting in. It's amazing in a way. It basically leads to, sometimes it can lead to errors as well. What is the difference? So let's just talk about that. That's where you need to know how things are stored in.